Second gunshot wound. Who shot him? Come on, buddy. Hey, it's gonna be all right. Yeah, Officer down. He's shot. Where's it at? Hold it, buddy. Hold it. Hey, just talk to me, man. Talk to me, Jess. Where's the guy who shot him? Who shot him? Just hold on, man. Just hold on. Central Rescue Code 3.
Oh my goodness.
Get something to hold pressure. Just hold. Sir. 10-3. Just keep talking to me, buddy. Just keep talking. Get rescued here now. You're gonna be all right, buddy.
Fourth Amendment states the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, acres, against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. The big last instruction the everything Grandma was going to give me there is that for more than 2 centuries we have lived by the Constitution and the law. No word has a right to violate rules we all share. That holds true as much today as it did 200 years ago when they wrote the Constitution. These are the facts in this case. On June 23rd, Othal Wallace got up and he worked. He finished the work about a week. He finished the work of time. He spent dress, and then he went and visited his house. He gets back in the evening of the 23rd. He's sitting in his car, winding down before he goes inside, and he gets out his girlfriend. At that time, Jason Raynor pulls up in front of his vehicle. As they told me, this is all on video, with the exception of 30 seconds, but you'll learn about that when you're ready. 30 seconds of it is an halftime. The video is your life. So, Raynor stops in front of him, gets out, and you see that when he's walking out of the car, Mr. Wallace then starts getting on his vehicle. As he approaches, Raynor then says, "How's it going? Do you live here?" Othal like, "What's going on? Do you live here?" Now, as he does that, as he has to say that, "Do you live here?" you see him physically, like, his dad is on you. That is very close to Mr. Wallace. So what you have now is the car, the door, Officer Raynor.
Firearm carries a max sentencing of 30 years in prison. But if the Jason Raynor Act passes, that same crime against a police officer would be bumped up to life in prison without parole. I spoke with Jason Raynor's family today. They wanted to share a statement. It says in part, although the bill is referred to as the Officer Jason Raynor Act, our family, along with the Jason Raynor Foundation, is focused on the well-being of all first responders, making the penalties clear and stronger, preventing the need for others to face the realities that our family does every day. Senator Tom Leek is the bill's sponsor.
But it's very simple. You know, if you kill a cop in the performance of their duties, whether you intended to or not, you should go to jail for the rest of your life.
How's it going? Do you live here?
In June 2021, 26-year-old Daytona Beach police officer Jason Raynor approached Othal Wallace to question him, the state saying Wallace was driving a car similar to one reported stolen. The exchange quickly turned physical before Wallace shot Raynor in the head and fled the scene. Wallace argued he was in fear for his life. The jury went with manslaughter after hours of deliberation. Wallace now spending 30 years in prison.
It makes it illegal for a person to defend themselves if law enforcement is acting illegally against them.
Othal Wallace's defense attorney, Terry Shoemaker, up in St. Augustine, disagrees with the Raynor Act.
They don't describe what a lawful duty is because it doesn't matter whether you're acting lawful. All they say is your lawful capacity.
The first version of the Jason Raynor Act was introduced last year, but it failed in a committee.
Killed during a traffic stop in 2021, but the suspect was only convicted of manslaughter. Action News Jack's state and local government reporter Jake Stofan is live downtown. And Jake, under this bill, manslaughter of a law enforcement officer will result in a life sentence. But that's not the part of this bill that's creating some controversy.
Well, that's right. The legislation would also change the law surrounding when a person is justified in using force to defend themselves against a law enforcement officer. Democrats and defense attorneys are concerned it could muddy the waters and potentially lead to less police accountability. Body camera footage captured the moment Daytona Beach police officer Jason Raynor was shot in the head by Othal Wallace during a traffic stop in 2021. He later died in the hospital. A Clay County jury ultimately convicted Wallace of manslaughter, sparing him a life sentence.
The defendant argued that because Officer Raynor lacked reasonable suspicion to detain Wallace, Wallace was justified in using force against Officer Raynor.
Jacksonville State Representative Jessica Baker is sponsoring the Officer Jason Raynor Act this year that would make manslaughter of a law enforcement officer a mandatory life sentence. But other changes the bill proposes are raising concerns among defense attorneys and state Democrats.
For whatever reason, they don't want somebody to resist an excessive unlawful arrest. Well, shame on you.
The legislation deletes language in state law that prohibits law enforcement officers from using force when they know an arrest they're carrying out is illegal, and language that allows a person to defend themselves if they're unlawfully being arrested or detained. Instead, it would permit a person to defend themselves only when excessive force is used by an officer.
What about just the mere force itself when that officer knows what they're doing is wrong?
There is a time and a place to fight an unlawful detention. It is not by putting a gun to the law enforcement officer's head and you becoming the judge, jury, and executioner.
Say racial profiling is not real. Because it is, sir. No, I'm talking to you because you said it. No, racial profiling is not a myth. So you cannot stand here and say that. Don't do that.